on a featured project entitled as Acceptance and the Impact of Introducing Sliding Scale Payment Policy into Community-Based Health Insurance in Ethiopia, randomized control trial. So I will briefly introduce Professor Zaude Brhanu, which is a faculty member of public health at Jimma University. He earned his PhD in tropical and infectious disease in 2017 and MPH in health education and promotion in 2009. With regard to his research and the publication, his research areas are a wide range of public health, behavioral health and health system and policy research. He has produced about more than 160, peer-reviewed research articles and more than 10 evidence translation and policy advocacy, such as policy briefs and the policy dialogues. He supervised more than 65 MPH students and 20 PhD students, and he led or co-led 15 research grants as PI and co-PI, which includes both small and large grants. And he also engaged in 15 plus national and international consultancy engagements. With professional developments, he engaged in more than 45 national, international trainings, conference presentations, and so on. He collaborated with a long list of international partners through his academic careers. So thank you, Professor Zaude. And I will invite you to the stage to share your experiences with the participants. And as I said earlier, you will have 15 minutes. I think you understand, you all presenters understand me in this very challenging assignment at this time. So hopefully Professor Zaude starts managing time within 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You will give me like 3 minutes more. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Nagarling, for introducing me. So I'm here on the behalf of the team to share some experiences related to one of the projects I'm leading, which says acceptance and impact of introducing sliding scale payment policy into Ethiopian CBHI program. CBHI is በአማርኛ ጤና መድን የምንለው ነው ማለት ነው። So this is randomized control trial, but I'm not going to speak in technical languages like RCT. Okay, I'll make it more in program languages and more of sharing the experiences. Sorry, sharing the experiences. The way this grant started, how it was, growing up, and then finally led to award of the grants, and I feel there are some lessons that we can learn from it, and so that will be my focus. So briefly, I will provide some background and context for this project. Then I will directly go to the nature and the rationale of the collaboration, how the collaboration was initiated, formed, and finally become successful. Then what is the role of and the contribution of different partners in this process, probably the major achievements, not in terms of the impact, but like key outputs at this time, because we'll have also another session after a day, and we'll have a presentation on what are the key findings from this, major challenges, lessons, and then pathways for sustainability and scale-up. The presentation made by Professor Isaias is a good background for my presentation, so I'll try to link to that context. So to begin with, very brief overview. This work is about healthcare financing which is a critical issue for Ethiopia and, as we know, for low and middle income countries. So when we started this idea, the data we had at that time is that Ethiopian healthcare financing is largely dependent on donors, okay, which accounts like approximately 34% of the healthcare financing was coming from donors. The government contribution is like 1/3. Then large percent again out of pocket by patients. This out of pocket by patient is like 30% is very big number, even compared to many sub-Saharan African countries. That means people are, even though there is a need, there is a demand because of cost, many people may not, seek care at least on time. So healthcare utilization was also not optimal. It is very low, one of the lowest. Then having this critical financial challenge, the government introduced community-based health insurance in 2011 with aim to mobilize more domestic resources, more local resources, because depending on external sources, donors this is not really a sustainable mechanism. So there must be an alternative, domestic local mechanism to support the financing system. So with this, the program introduced in 2011 and then expanded very drastically, dramatically across the nations, urban, rural, focusing on the population in the informal sectors. Okay? It doesn't include government employees and civil servants. But, the program has very positive results was recorded from the evaluations, but there are persistent policy issues and gaps in this critical national massive program. The first one is the premium contribution, how people contribute to the scheme. The domestic contribution is based on flat rates. That means everybody is contributing equal amounts, regardless of their economic capacity, even willingness to pay, and does it take into account the economic status. That means equality, everybody contribute equal amount. But this fundamentally has a number of issues. For example, in terms of equity, that means like letting everyone, the rich, the poor, in the middle, contribute the same amount is not really equitable from the very beginning. Then we'll not mobilize more resources because we are not able to tap more resources from the upper or the better families. So in terms of resource mobilization, there was a gap. Regional variations across regions in Ethiopia, they do have their own very fragmented and standardized process of premium contribution and management. So the most important one is financial sustainability. The program in that way is not going to be sustainable. It cannot sustain itself because collect small money from the community when they procure or purchase services, it's not enough. So it becomes the financial deficient across the scheme. The country is persistent challenge, and for that problem, there must be a policy solution. That policy solution is why not we transform the flat rate where everybody contributes equal amount into fair approaches where people contribute based on their economic capacity. And then that means the upper class of the society will contribute more, then the middle will contribute the next higher, and the lowest, the indigent, we call the indigent poor of the poor, actually the government, and this is proposed to replace the old system. Then in this old system, in this new system, that means moving away from the flat rate scheme to more equitable, more socio-economic based contributions. So that means pay by ability, you pay by your ability, but your services based on your need. Because ultimately, the finance, the money, the resources you collect from the community will go back to and should flow to the healthcare services, to procure purchase services. So in this new scheme, what was the basic idea is households were categorized into the poor, the indigent, poor of the poorest, okay? Then there are some middle categories, then there are also upper categories. So the Federal Ministry of Health, through its agency, Ethiopian Health Insurance Agency, they proposed this idea to replace that old system. So this is a massive move during this time. So technically, details are there how this stratification was made. How this is not an issue now, but the basic idea is from moving from the flat rate approach to the more equitable premium contributions methodology. Then our research focused on this movement, moving away from the flat rate to the more equitable CBHI premium contribution and service delivery approach. So in this new policy, the government was an idea to pilot it, try this new approach, new policy in selected districts. So in Oromia, we have 13 districts. No, totally we have 26 districts, that went to this pilot program in Oromia and Sudan. So this is RCT, and half of those districts were, assigned to the treatment. The treatment means they are going to receive the new policy. They are going to undergo the new policy, and the old system for 2 years will remain in the old modality. Okay. So we are talking about the impact. Then what would be the impact is, as you see here, we actually measure impact of the community-based health insurance using, there are key milestones, key outcomes. The first one is like acceptance, trust, and user experience. We might expect some positive things from the new policy. Second, financial protections. The new policy, the government have a plan to mobilize more resources. Then that resources must go to the healthcare financing and then go back to the community to support healthcare delivery. So that means we provide better financial protection for the people. Then this will lead to increase in health service utilizations. So I'm not going to present key findings on this, but these are the impacts we are talking about. And now I will go to how this idea was initiated and undergone a number of transformations in this process. Okay, this was the way our idea actually started. It was in, I don't really exactly remember the date and the month. It was in 2021. I was traveling from Addis to Jimma, and fortunately, I found myself to adjacent to one of the Director General of Ethiopian Health Insurance Services. She was traveling from Addis to Jimma to attend some program, and we started, talking, discussing some of the issues, and she was raising insurance is one important area for research, and she was saying Jimma University. She was a graduate of Jimma University. And she was told me that Jimma University has good culture, research capacity. Why don't you support us, the Ethiopian Health Insurance Agency? There are so many priority issues, and this program is new because the agency itself was established in 2011. Okay, so it is new and not researched and the research area, and finally, she shared some ideas, and that was about transforming the old system into some equitable mechanisms. Then I capture that idea and start shaping that idea. Okay, so we keep discussing, exchanging emails, communications, and this become a solid foundation for our partnership. So this is where the idea actually generated in this process. That means the concept of transforming community-based health insurance into more equitable, as the government need, was derived from the policy. That was what Professor Isaias was talking about. We need to link our research ideas into policy, and from policy environment, from program, from practices. Okay, so this is one important lesson. Then, having this idea, now we started searching, calls that fits to our interest. This is the reverse. Usually what we do is we search for calls, okay, grant calls, and then look its idea, then we fit into existing programs. But this is the reverse. We have idea from the policy, from the program, then we start to search grant opportunities. So in the same year, an organization called PEP, it's called Partnership for Economic Policy. Its base in Nairobi. It's working across, the global south in many, over I think around 60 countries. They have small grant mechanisms, small grant funding mechanisms, and we get that call. I don't know, Professor Morankar is here. I don't exactly remember how that call that reached to us. Okay. So now just it exactly fits because this organization, they support the global south policy, local evidence for local policy. So we started writing a grant, this developing idea, and then we are applying for 50 USD, 50,000 USD. Okay. So we developed our proposal together with the Ethiopian Health Insurance Agency, and then finally submitted. But the submission was tough because the requirement is not only the proposal. The research team must pass a series of tests on impact evaluations. Except the PI, they accept the PI based on experiences or RCT. The other research team must pass the exam. Otherwise, the proposal will not be submitted. So my research team, successfully, studied the impact evaluation, epidemiological designs, and finally they passed the 3 tests, and then finally submitted. Then they evaluated it, and we passed all the stages, but unfortunately, it was not accepted for funding for 50,000 USD. The idea was the reason for rejection was, it's not rejection, but they said we will not fund it. The reason was, this is big idea. Your idea is very big, this policy issue. The grant is 50,000, so it's not possible to do this work with this amount of researches, funds. Then what? The turning point come. Then they said, from rejection to funding success. Then they said, okay, why don't we collaborate? The PEP self said, the grantor, they said, why don't we collaborate together and find better grant opportunity? Yes, we said, yeah, we are ready to do that. We can collaborate. We can develop our proposal further together. And then we agreed, with the initial funding sources. We agreed, and they connect us to a new organization, FID. FID is Fund for Innovation in Development. This is an organization supported by the French government. They fund, innovative ideas at different levels, from small grants to multi-million dollar or euro. Okay, so we developed this idea together, and then with PEP, we submitted it to FID. And the target was, we proposed, 700,000 euro, and they accepted it. After, in fact, there was several steps which I can't discuss it here. So you see, then that means we moved from the initial rejection. We wrote with, developed further the project with the PEP, our initial contact, then applied to FID, then it was successful. This is the story. So agreement was signed. So now PEP has strong researchers from different parts of the world. Now they connected us with their senior researchers. Professor Maria Laura, she's based in Argentina, but research team of PEP, and another Natalia, she's from USA. She's also economist. Both of them are economists, senior economists, and now we developed, a strong team. Okay. So what was the role of this, this process? The role of different, partners. Now Jimma University is. No, sorry. How the partnership generally moved is it's look like this one. I now model it back. The idea origin was from the policy. The first application we started with PEP. The PEP didn't accept it, but opened another opportunity to work together. Then we applied it into a new organization. So we passed through this steps of series of steps with ups and downs, and finally get successful. So, what are the key achievements here with this? So now, after several meetings, discussions, co-creations with Ethiopian Health Insurance Agency and regional health bureaus, because this is a program, we are working on a program, we cannot operate independently. So the program was launched in Addis in December 2023. Our research vice president by that time, Professor Nasanat, was there. She opened it, and then we successfully launched it as a national pilot program for the first time in health insurance history. That means an initiative to move from the old system to some equitable system. Then, following the launch, we undertook, this RCT. There are 3 evaluation phases. The first one is like baseline. This baseline, it addresses over 5,000 households. Then the midline, the same number. The end line, we recently conducted just this month, completed just weeks ago. And overall, in this study, we covered like 15,000 households. This is really very large. Over 75,000 individuals in this study. Over 100 health facilities. So this by itself is, we learned a lot in this process, because managing this large, survey is very complex, because you need to know logistic issues, field organization, so many technical and administrative issues are there. So we learned a lot from this process. So an important issue here is, because it is already embedded in the program, our baseline information, evidences, the evidence we generated from the baseline study was informed, supported number of decisions in the ministry, including guideline development, how we can implement this new policy, development of training materials. Okay, so from the baseline itself, they used the finding from this assessment to inform the program development, quality improvements, and so on. Then this become, we undertake a number of communication, including like blogs, people also sharing this news as a critical step away from more unequitable to more equitable premium system in health insurance history in Ethiopia. Then during the first year, you see the impact I want to highlight is this, because primarily the aim was to mobilize more resources, okay, to support the healthcare delivery. In pilot, we have certain districts, before we started this, or before this new policy initiated, we call it the flat rate scheme. You see the amount of money each district was mobilizing. For example, if Adaba is found, located in RC. Let me tell you, for example, Ambo is one of the pilot area. From 3.6 million, they jumped in the second year, while they started this policy into over 10 millions. If you see the change in generally, during the first year alone, many of the schemes, the system were able to boost financially. Initially, they were in collapse. That means they're going to be shut down. So within the first year alone, they make very significant change in terms of mobilizing resources, and that resource must go to the health system basically. But don't ask me now where that resource should really go. Okay, the assumption is this is insurance resource mobilized from the community. It's directly used for procurement of services, medicine, laboratory services, and so on. Okay, so this amount of money was mobilized. This is a significant change, and in 1 year alone, many of those programs, all of them were able to move from deficit to better financial positions. We have also data. This data is generated by the agency. Because we are working together, we have all data access, including administration data, including the financial data. So in the second year, there was a massive increment as well. So in 2015, this is the European calendar, 2015, 86 million from 10 districts, 13 districts, 86 million. It grew to over 239 millions from 10 districts alone. Those are massive changes because of this new policy initiatives. So the important issue is strengthen academic policy partnership. This is exactly, working together. That means there is no researcher there. We all work. We all are like a team working together. Even though I'm from academics, from there they are from policy, we just work together on a number of issues here. We are there, and key personnel from the ministry is also there. Okay, so based on the lesson from the first year we have midline evaluation. Based on that result, they started to expand it, the new system across the regions in selected districts. So in the second year, they expanded into number of households, as you see here, nationally. That means over 6 million households were reached through this new policy. Okay. This is a massive data from this year. You see, based on this, a new approach. That means households were like the indigent, the middle households, upper households. Using this system for the first time, they were able to mobilize nationally, 16 billion to support healthcare delivery, medicine, drugs, laboratory services. Okay. If you take Oromia, over 8 billion berries, they mobilize, annually. So if you compare this, to the last, before this new initiative, it was significantly low. So capacity development, we are providing a number of training to these pilot areas, people in the regions, in the federals, on impact evaluation, evidence translation, and so on. Research capacity, research team capacity. This is the first time we are conducting impact evaluation, very big impact evaluation. We have 2 PhD students enrolled in this program. As an institution, it's also something, experience that we can mention maybe tomorrow as, ability to or capacity to run big RCTs as well as, big surveys. Then there are challenges, critical challenges where we are working really with people from the stakeholder, especially with the policymaker. And your research is exactly depend on the program. There are a number of issues. The first one is misalignment between program implementation and research implementations. If program is not there, if program is not implemented as planned, your research also delay. Okay. Even we delayed 1 year, and even we updated our contract agreements. Because of some reason, the ministry was not able to launch the program, the pilot, as it was initially planned. So this is something, when we are working, our research is entirely dependent on the program. We need to keep this in mind. Changes in the leadership. There are frequent changes in the leadership. You agree, you start your journey with ex-leader, director, and after a year, you find another director there. So again, we need to go back and discuss everything. Okay? This is our program, this is our research. It's very challenging. Okay? We faced this and we have seen it, how much these are really tough. Stakeholder expectations, especially at lower level, at district level, they see Jimma University as a donor. This is research fund. They see it as a program fund. That one. We know every time we're discussing about this is research fund. We cannot support everything in the program. The program belongs to the government. But the government is not They may not allocate adequate money to support especially at lower levels. So they're expecting more money from more support from Jimma. That is also one of the challenges. Strict reporting and compliance requirements is also critical. One of the new unique thing here is that PEP is overseeing all our technical and administrative implementations. We'll scan every document, every financial document, including boarding pass. Okay. We'll have only one slide. Okay, thank you. So compliance is very important. That's also a challenge. But thanks to our finance team, they are supporting us very much because of the expenditure is high and they have to, scan everything and a bit, there is a challenging contexts. Situational contexts, we all know that's also critical. So what is the lessons? The key lessons. So early and continuous engagement with stakeholders. Start with the stakeholder, engage them, real-world relevance. Our research must be, have a real-world relevance, trust and reliability, clear communication. Those are the things Professor Isaias was discussing. Just we experienced it, we felt it, and these really important lessons. Then what is the path? The path, the path is clear. If possible, I would not say if possible, just start from issues which are really policy relevant. I think we have to let our students to go to the program, the policy, the practice to find research areas, research gaps, not to the library, not in the literature. Okay, this is something I want to emphasize. Start with the policy, keep a deep engagement and co-creations. Co-creation in practical terms, not talking about it is. We have done this and that, but do it practically. So have evidence translation plan. What we usually miss is evidence translation plan as a beginning. It must be ongoing. Usually we complete our research and expect policy brief at the end. That's really not an effective way. Keep engaging your policymakers throughout the process, and they learn from everything, every activity, from the field, from the discussion, from emerging evidences, as the way we can improve uptake of our evidence. So this is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Zavde. Sorry if I put pressure on your flow. So still, I feel we are a bit under time pressure. Thank you for another very interesting presentation, which is policy change oriented. I think a lot point could be gained from this one again, in line with what Professor Isaias earlier told us. So this is a kind of capitalist oriented to socialist oriented policy, but he must tell us where the money goes. We want to hear, I think, as audience. So next will be another featured project to be presented by Professor Sigge. The project reads as an early warning system for malaria resurgence linked to Anopheles stephensi in drought-prone areas of Ethiopia. So while Professor Sigge is coming to the audience, sorry. I'm forced to make it brief because many of us are familiar with Professor Sigge, so I will shortly tell you. Professor Sigge Kataba is a professor of biomedical science at our university. She earned her PhD in environmental health and MSc in biomedical sciences and a bachelor degree in biology. Professor Tsige has made significant contributions to malaria research, particularly in drug resistance, immune response, severe pathologies, vector biology, and epidemiological surveillance. Her work has been recognized through numerous national and international awards, including honors from a number of organizations listed here. She has authored more than 50 scientific publications. She wrote book chapters and presented her findings at major conferences in Africa and Europe. Beyond research, Professor Tsige has held key leadership roles, including serving as Vice President for Research and Community Services, Research and Postgraduate Coordinating Office, and Gender Focal Person at Jimma University. She has been actively involved in PhD and MSc curriculum development, training programs for PhD supervisions, and so on. She also serves as several national and institutional boards delegating Jimma University. Professor Tsige is a dedicated mentor, mother of three, and a passionate advocate for women in science. She has successfully secured numerous research grants, scholarships, and fellowships from prestigious organizations, including the European Commission. With this, I will invite Professor Tsige to the stage to share her experience with us. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. And thank you, Dr. Negga, for a nice introduction of my short biodata. As you can see, I'll be talking about one of our projects with the title that you can see. Actually, for the interest of time, I'll not waste the time on other aspects. Anyways, this is the topic I will be talking about. It is one of the projects I'm leading. The outline is actually, I'll be talking about the nature and the rationale for this collaborative work and roles and contribution of different collaborators involving in this project, key findings and challenges we have faced during the execution of this project, and the lesson learned, as well as the pathways for sustainability and scaling up of this project. So to begin with the introduction of this project, as you can see, it is mainly focusing on malaria. Malaria is currently a big challenge. There was interruption of the transmission in the nation as well as in the globe, but currently malaria has become a very serious public health problem in our country. Especially the sudden resurgence of malaria is really frustrating, and many people are suffering from this disease. Even the recent, not that much recent actually, WHO report of 2024, within less than 2 months between September and October, around 8 million people have been infected by malaria, and around 1,250 people died because of malaria. Actually, this is a brief and a short report of WHO, especially when the malaria resurged and many people were suffering because of this disease. The cause, what is the cause? To my understanding, the cause of the current malaria resurgence is not clear, but there are evidences that, when I say it not clear, it could be many factors. Evidence showed that one of the mosquito, which was not familiar to Ethiopia, emerged, or I can call it exotic, is coming from Asia and disseminating in the eastern part of the country, and responsible for the re-emergence of malaria, especially in around this Rift Valley and Redwa and so on. So this is what caught our attention, and we want to really dig into this problem and contribute our own part in the resolution or maybe reducing the burden of the current malaria. And when we look into this vector, which is called Anopheles stephensii, it's a new vector for Ethiopia, it's emerging, it's invasive. Within a short time, it is disseminating to different parts of the country, especially around the Rift Valley. And the biology of this vector is not known in the context of Ethiopia. How it can grow, at what temperature, at what climatic condition, how it can respond to climatic factors like temperature, humidity, even there is no information how this vector can respond to the current interventional strategies the country is using. We are using different insecticides for controlling of the vector, but there is no scientific information about this vector. So we want to investigate this information so that we can produce scientific data that can be used by any stakeholders or we as a researcher. And then this is the objective of our study. Clearly, the objective of this study is to assess the biology of this vector, how it looks like at different stages, starting from egg, larvae, pupae to adult, how it can respond to climatic variables which can mimic to different ecological zones of the country where malaria is endemic, and response of this specific mosquito to the available interventional strategies. So the first thing is we want to collect data on this and use that data to design a system that can help maybe concerned bodies, could be policy makers, to design early interventional strategy so that, of course, we use mathematical modeling. All this data will be generated, will be used mathematical models. From mathematical modeling, our plan is to forecast to which direction, to which ecological zones or climatic zones this vector can disseminate. I think we think that this is a valuable information for concerned health authorities, be in Ethiopia or beyond. So when we start thinking about developing this project, we know that this is a huge problem. It cannot be solved by a single individual or a scientist, as well as it cannot be solved by a single institution. So that we have to look for collaborators, researchers from Jimma University and outside, again, institutions that can support achievement of this project. Here are our collaborators. The first collaborator we identified is Oromia Health Bureau. We wrote a letter and we asked for permission. They granted us permission actually to conduct this research in a place where this vector is already known, as it's already spread or, disseminated. Once we get the permission, of course, they oversee or supervise this project, and also they linked us to the local governmental offices so that they can facilitate, of course, for smooth facilitation of the project. Again, as this project cannot be performed outside Rift Valley where this vector is already established, we have to go to around the Rift Valley, Adama. In Adama, we have to look for the partner, collaborator. We found Rift Valley University as the right candidate for this collaboration, and we made collaboration with the Rift Valley University through public-private partnership. They provided us infrastructure space where we can set up our experimentation. The experimentation is actually, it takes more than a year, and they are jointly supervising the project there as it is a little bit far from the host institution, which is Jimma University. Again, from Jimma University, there are collaborators, researchers who can work on the insect part, entomology, entomologist. We have a mathematician who can work on mathematical modeling, other genomic part or molecular analysis, and the remaining part of the work will be conducting in Jimma University. Again, we have international partner. Of course, the funder is also our partner OSEED, UNESCO through the OSEED program is funding this project. And this funder provided us training on how we can handle this grant project, how we can communicate, and most basic issues related to project management and others has been provided by this organization. Again, we shared practices, best practices in Europe, mainly in Italy, Trieste, and we visited different institutions which have a best practice on this mathematical modeling, AI learning, and so on. And this is the kind of contribution we have received from the international funder, which is OSEED. And also, Ethiopian Public Health Institute is one of the partners, because at the end of the day, once the system, the early warning system will be developed, this institution is very critical in integrating. We hopefully planning to integrate the system with the existing national malaria prevention and control program. So this institution, Ethiopian Public Health Institute, will help us with that, currently providing us different supporters like experimental animals, because this, in order to sustainably continue on insect biology study, experimental animal is very important, because they have to feed on a blood so that the research can be continued. And they are providing animal models and supervising the research. And actually, we hope that they will integrate this finding to the existing national malaria vector prevention or control program. These are the key achievements. As I've told you earlier, we established our work in Adama at Rift Valley University. They provided us 2 lab rooms. We established the research setup, and then we started collecting a sample from the town itself. Maybe, as you can see, this is a small water reservoir, a kind of pond. Every household, especially those found around the periphery of the town, have this kind of pond. They use for water, reserving the water, and this water will be used for production of bricks or blockade. And then from this source, we collected the vector, the larval stage of this vector. We allowed it to grow in the laboratory, and this is how we are feeding the mosquitoes a blood meal from the rabbit, and the experimentation is continued. This is how we conduct the experimentation. And one of the major findings here is that our early study showed that this vector, the new one, the emerging one, is already disseminated in most parts of the town, because almost all the ponds investigated for this vector were found positive, which is very frustrating and require immediate measure by concerned body. Again, the data on the life table of this vector, starting from egg to the adult, like larva, pupa, all data are already generated under different conditions, and using incubator, in standard room and experimental room. We have really huge data which has been collected for around a year, and the effect of external factors like temperature, humidity, at different range, as you can see, has been investigated, checked, and now we know that the lowest, highest, as well as optimum temperature at which this vector can grow is identified. And these informations are really very critical for us in order to design the system, the early warning system, through mathematical modeling so that it can be forecasted to which direction or to which ecological zones this vector can be disseminated. Another achievement is we are actually investigating, of course this is an ongoing research and still data generation is in the process, but we have some information on efficacy of available interventional strategies. Again, we are developing pilot for early warning system by the data we have already generated. I mean, we are using the data already generated in order to develop the pilot early. The full package of early warning system will be generated once the data is collected, completed, and then we'll develop. And the community is already sensitized through, they are aware through the workshop we have. There is also capacity building achievement here. Postgraduate students participating in this study are received the training, data collectors and others. Again, infrastructure is another capacity building we got from this project. We are organizing, of course, new laboratory, which is dedicated for biomedical and insect biology or entomology, using the instrument purchased through this project. Again, we have developed a sustainable partnership where Jimma University collaborated with the Rift Valley University because of the availability and the project nature, and the area of collaborations are also already identified. Currently, they are co-supervising this project in that area. The remaining task, of course, will complete generation of the data. The data will be generated. Once this data is completed, we'll have a full package or a fully functioning early warning system for prediction of this vector spreading to different ecological zones. And we hope that, of course, it is a plan, we'll communicate, the system will develop to the concerned health authority, and then we'll give the training on this system for both policymaker and policy implementer. And our final goal is integrating the system into the existing national malaria vector control program. I know it is not easy business, easy task, but we'll go to the level of integrating this system to the existing malaria vector control program. What are the challenges we have faced? Of course, this project is more or less at the early phase. We don't know what we'll encounter in the future, but to date, what we faced is some of them are institutional and logistic because of a long distance of the study site from Jimma University host institution. There is a problem of frequent visits, going there, monitoring the experimentation and checking and doing everything is a little bit difficult. Again, lack of satellite campus in our study site by Jimma University is another thing. That is what forced us to establish new collaboration with the private university. Again, competing priorities are also there. I don't know if I have to address this one. Yeah, there are many things here in this, these days. We have to engage in different reviews, program reviews, again, accreditation, and so on and so on. This is really taking much of our time, and we couldn't concentrate on the work. And access to experimental animal, long duration of the experimentation is also another issue. As you can see, we have been already through 1 year. It's going to take half a year or something like that in order to generate a full package of the data that will be used for the mathematical modeling. These are some of the challenges. Maybe most of them are not that much serious, but one is, especially the procurement procedure is another challenge that we have faced. during the execution of this project. Earlier, it was because of its sluggish procedure, but now maybe you have to check if this electronic procurement procedure is really solving the problem of our researchers. Maybe I'll not talk the detail of it. What are the lessons learned? Most of the lessons we have learned in managing this collaborative project is presented by Professor Isaias, and I don't know if there is something different. Having clear communication is very important. As you can see, we began this project by communicating concerned body. We started from the Regional Health Bureau. They are connecting us to different offices so that they can maybe own the project. And in the future, when we finish or when we complete this project, I think it will not be difficult to integrate this tool into the existing system. Again, collaboration. I want to capitalize on this one. Collaboration at individual and institutional level is very important. Nowadays, it is difficult and practically impossible to execute a project by 2 or 1 person. Collaboration is important, especially in our context in the College of Natural Science. We don't consider these hard sciences as applicable for research. As you can see, we are collaborating with mathematicians. They are developing modeling, mathematical modeling. The same is true for physics, chemists, and so on. So hard science is applicable. We are using it. We are going for multidisciplinary strategies. I don't know if there is something new again here. I'll not take much of your time as it has been already presented by Professor Isaias. How we can sustainably keep up on working on such research is, first thing is institutionalization of what we do. So once it is institutionalized, it will not be very difficult to integrate our finding to the existing system. Once all the stakeholders, concerned people are aware of it, are going through the process with you or with us, it might not be very difficult. Again, we hope that this model, the model will develop, will be scaled up to other dry-prone areas or regions in the country, as well as it can be scaled up to other vector-borne diseases such as dengue. Dengue is, am I correct? Yeah. Such things, yeah. And policy alignment is another thing. What we think when we design a project is we are trying to align with the policy so that the relevance of our work will be capitalized and it will be very easy to for continuation of the work. We are trying to link it with the sustainable developmental goals. I think goal 3. Yeah, it is on health, and so on. Again, earlier when I started this presentation, I said that the current malaria resurgence can have different reasons. It can be caused by many factors. It could be vector associated. As you have seen, there is new vector, there might be resistance to different insecticides or different interventional strategies. The immunity is also another issue. Immunity, because malaria has been there, it was disappeared to some extent, and it's coming up. So the immunity of the human might be one and a decrease. Anyways, I not go to the detail of that. Environmental diagnosis, this might be the cause or beyond this. So as a scaling up plan, we want to adapt what we find in this project to a new context, as you can see. We are working on modeling of malaria epidemiology and determinants. Of course, on this PhD students and others are also there. It's an ongoing project. Again, another thing what we have observed during our work in a field and in different health facilities is that there is underreporting of malaria burden. What has been reported at the post level and what it can reach, the aggregate data reach to the Ministry of Health or whoever, there is a big mismatch between the two. There is underreporting of malaria. Again, we are working on modeling that can accurately report. It's difficult to say exact, but to some extent, that can reduce the underreporting problem of malaria. Because this is very important. If malaria is underreported, as we can see, or as we have already seen in different parts of the health facilities, there is a mismatch on deployment of resources. The number of patients and the drug the health facilities can get is quite different. That's why patients are treated by wrong drugs, I can say. For example, if they are infected with falciparum, Vivax, they are treated with the drug prescribed for falciparum. This is what we can witness and what we have seen. So that to avoid such kind of discrepancy or mismatch that could happen, detailed study and modeling is important. This is again another ongoing research. And the third thing that we observed that there is a problem on diagnosis. Inaccuracy, misdiagnosis is also there. For this, we are working on integration or application of AI to improve the efficacy of conventional diagnostic tools currently we are using, like malaria. Here is the name of our project. It is a new project started this year, and we call it multi-Pelex AI. 6 countries are partner. The coordinator is in Spain, and we are working on that. As you can see, the name says multi-Pelex. We are going to develop or design a system that can identify multiple parasites, multiple blood parasites, starting from Plasmodium. I hope the health people, you know it. Trypanosoma, Leishmania, filarial worms, all. And soil-transmitted ailments. We are working on that. This is funded by European Commission, and as a promising project, I told you that this is a new project we're working on. As a promising project, it's early to announce, but it has already received an award from Spain Red Cross. I hope we'll come up with a very interesting finding as well as a device that can solve the problem of our society. This is all I can say. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Tsige, for another very insightful presentation on a new featured project. No need to summarize because all presentations today are very clear. So she introduced us not only to a new mosquito, but also a new model of collaboration and partnership that involved even the private sector. That could be the first of its time. It's kind. So next we'll have another presentation by Dr. Tashome Egere. Now I think his presentation involves shifting from the life science to the way of life. It reads as storytelling in the young people coping with crisis, oral narratives and the crisis management in Kenya and Ethiopia. Next, I will briefly introduce the presenter, Dr. Tashome. He completed his PhD study in 2013 in English literature. He also has been serving in different positions as coordinator for community-based education at the College of Social Science and director of Institute of Oromo Studies, IOS. In addition to working in Jimma University, Dr. Tashome has been affiliated with other universities like Mule Horam, Ambo, Wallega universities, and also Ghent University in Europe. He has been teaching courses and advising postgraduate students on different topical issues. I will not go into the details again. He has published about 30 articles in reputable journals. Again, he has been supervising about 15 postgraduate students, PhD students in particular, and examined about 10 PhD dissertations in different universities. He is serving as a member of doctoral board of commission for students jointly attending PhD programs in Ghent and Jimma University. He is a South promoter of oral literature for development, the project he is going to share with us, which is a kind of South-South-North cooperation model. He has been also engaging in different mega projects as PI and co-PI on different topics. Again, I will not read the details because here there are a number of listed projects completed and ongoing. Having said this much, I will invite Dr. Tashome to the stage to share his experience with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I would like to appreciate and also thank the Research and Partnership Office for actually letting us share our experience on the milestone we went on the project implementation of oral literature for development. As you have seen from the outline previously, it has got, the outline is nature and rationale of the collaboration, roles and contributions of partners, key achievements, lessons learned, challenges and sustainability issues. Actually, it is a team project and it's entitled Storytelling and Young People Coping with Crisis, Oral Narratives and Crisis Management in Kenya and Ethiopia. oral literature for development. The project team members, I would like to say a few things about the project team members and their role. As has been mentioned by Dr. Nagga, it is south-north. This is a recent phenomena when it comes to grant writing and just applying grant. This is one of an experience that I would like to share. The more you have partnerships, even south, east and north, or vice versa, or south, north, the more your proposal or grant will be accepted by the donors. That actually helped us in that sense. Previously, as you very well know, it is the north that is dominating, as Professor Isaias presented in the morning. And these days, there is a shift, not only north, but also south, north. So consecutively, we, from the south, we have two institutions, Jimma University and the University of Nairobi. These universities do have roles to play in this mega project. They actually establish a hub, oral literature for development hub, and materials, equipments, data collection materials are actually built there in the centers, and they are also responsible for assisting PhD candidates in going to fieldwork and gathering data. Assistants are there. Data is from the south, and the south partners actually work on assisting candidates, PhD candidates. And there are performances and workshops which are held in these south institutions. They are only held in south institutions. So the annual meetings and stakeholders meetings are also organized in these south institutions. When it comes to the north, actually, we do have Ghent University and Ho West University of Applied Sciences, which is also residing in the same country called Belgium. And Ghent University is actually a granting and a donating institution. And beyond that, Ghent University also oversees the overall finance of the project, and also works on planning on annual meetings. Annual meetings are actually held in the 2,000 institutions, alternatively on a yearly basis, and that is organized and facilitated by Ghent University. The main promoter from Ghent University, and the promoter, actually the participant from Ho West University, from School of Journalism, helps us in communication for development, actually giving trainings on photography and taking pictures of high standard, which could serve for book publication. We are actually trying. So this is the role, and the team members, when it comes to the team members, actually team is very important. The more you team up, the more you get the chance for grant winning. So the main promoters from the institutions are Ing Brinkman is from Ghent University, Department of African Studies, Belgium. I am from Institute of Oromo Studies, Jimma University. And Peter Wasamba is from Department of Literature, University of Nairobi. How the inception actually began is when I was the director of the Institute of Oromo Studies, there was a push from the university that institutions should look for grants and just secure grants and just maintain themselves. As a new director and a new institution that has only run by one person, one office, having no budget, I have to think of how to just do that. So what I did, actually, in this regard, I would like to appreciate and give recognition to Mr. Korra, to Shine, who contacted people from Ghent University so that they contact us. That went in a good way, and it was only a 10 minutes encounter with Professor Ng at Hilton Hotel that actually resulted in all these contributions and team formation and collaboration. Very brief, 10 minutes, but impactful. What I did is, we had international conferences, we had the proceeding, and we had the GADA journal we had published. I took that with me and just handed it to her, and that we are actively working. I promoted an institution that has nothing as if it has something. And that actually created a very strong impression in her, so that we keep on actually contacting each other. So I didn't stop there, but I had to just insist on writing and writing and writing, and at times just touching upon affiliations we were having together. She was fortunately from literature, and me too. So I had to appreciate that, and that actually made us just colleagues. So in the middle of it, she said, don't call me professor, now and onwards, we are colleagues, so call me Ng, and I will call you Tashome. Since then, we are calling each other Ng and Tashome. No formal. Professor Isaias was telling us this morning, we have to be formal where we need to, and also in the course of time, informal relationships come, and that is actually interesting. That was how the project began. We actually applied for a very short research stay by Global Minds at Ghent, and a colleague, my colleague, Peter Wasamba from Nairobi, and me from Jimma went there. We came together for the first time and started talking how to go for grant writings. We turned it back and then started identifying areas where we can potentially work together. And then fortunately, a team project call was launched by Villaris project, a 5 years project. And we applied for that. And for the final list, only 3 grant applications were in the short list, 2 from technology and 1 from Institute of Oromo Studies. We had a meeting somewhere, and I never forget what was said there. At least if we win the science, the hard sciences, this grant will be secured. I was listening to, I'm not from hard science, the very soft science. Well, I was waiting for it. Fortunately, from the 3, it is only the soft science that won. So what I just share you is you have to be very strong, and you have to hope for a positive, and you have to work. And if you do that, there is a possibility to enter to a competition. There are team members from, there is an oral literature for development team that consists of this group. So theme is very important. Then in 2 institutions in South, Jimma University and Nairobi. There are also oral literature for development hub team members, 10 each. This includes the promoter and the director and the head of research of the institute and a number of PhD candidates. These PhD candidates are immensely benefiting from the project. Had it not been for this initiative, the 6 PhD candidates from the university could have never got that chance. They might have got it in another direction, but what I can say is the project has actually created a good opportunity for at least 6 PhD candidates, and on a yearly basis, on the final year of his or her project, an MA student joins in the course of the years. And our project focuses on 5 domains of crisis: ecological crisis, poverty as a crisis, disability or disease as a crisis, gender crisis, and exclusion or others. This is related to the SDGs, especially SDG 1, 3, 4, and 11, the education, health, no poverty, SDG 1, and intervention for urban well-being, the SDG 11. Actually, if I say something about the milestones in developing the project, which could actually, I believe, help those who are trying for grants, it involved more number of partners in the project. That is very important, as Professor Isaias said this morning. It is development oriented. You have to think of the orientation of the SDG, because at the end of the day, your grant will be evaluated against the SDG, the 17 SDGs indicated there. The project plan was based on selected SDGs, I have indicated. More budget was allocated for postdoc and PhD training, performance and workshops. Some of our grant applications are saturated by personal allocating budgets for certain limited number of people, which at the end of the day actually harms the project winning the grant. So especially capacity building for postdoc and PhD trainings and performances and workshops. Zero budget for top up, and there was an emphasis on female PhD trainees. When it comes to the nature and rationale of the collaboration, this project actually takes a communication for development approach, C4D, and oral literature for development as a new line of thinking. We firmly believe that culture and creativity are central for all people's development. At any initiative, any innovation first begins with imagination. And in creative writing, there is always imagination. If we nurture our creative faculties, that will contribute towards bringing about a perfect architect who first imagines the design of the building, this building. First, it has to be grounded on imagination before practically just put on the ground. So we believe that literature actually enables that. That is why Americans, if you go to Americans, literature is one of the privileged discipline which actually nurture students from early age so that their faculty of imagination is developed. so that they will be perfect astronauts for that matter in the latter life of their profession. The emphasis is the need to consider fiction as an influential source of knowledge for development. We believe that it is influential. Fiction is influential. You might have seen Maya 97, and most of science fictions are there, and science innovation follows that. First, science fiction is there, science films are there, and science follows that. So imagination, it is the hypothesis, the imaginary and the application actually nurtures each other. In that, we believe in multidisciplinary and the imaginative side of people to be developed. We also contend that people have dealt with crisis situations through their history of literary expression. In this sense, we are working for decolonizing knowledge. Knowledge that comes from North must not necessarily always be the knowledge that actually saves the world. We have a strong belief on this. There must be an alternative knowledge from the other side of the world. It couldn't solve. We are observing this. The tanks, the missiles couldn't solve. And many scientists say that there must be an alternative knowledge to save this world, because the West has is rather fast destroying the world itself. So we have this. However, we noticed that especially urban adolescents in Kenya and Ethiopia do not connect to their literary history when faced with crisis situations. Why? Because they navigate through the imaginative world of Tom and Jerry's and the Mashas, as we have children at our home who are dominantly dwelling with these films, and those films which have generated millions of viewers, not innocent, in fact, even more than scientific actually displays in YouTube's and whatsoever. They are these children's videos which are generating millions. There is a reason behind this. And it is knocking each one of us house. And they are not innocent. They create an imagination. And your kid sitting in your home is imagining an abstract space that she couldn't live. That is why most of our youth aspire to go to America, not to stay here. And later on, taken up by TikToks. It is sad to say, adolescents, our adolescents, when you go out of this campus and see where there is an internet, you find our university students very busy, scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and endless scrolling, which actually was presented last time, the disease it creates. So the outcome of that is short and fragmented, the impact of which is less far-sightedness and lack of coherence. That it is short actually makes the thinking faculty itself short too. And that it is fragmented makes a mind and the mental process of our students not to be cohesive enough in its broad sense. Through performative learning procedures, we aim at enabling young people to engage with living oral traditions of storytelling, thereby reflecting on the potentialities of facing crisis from indigenous point of view. Having this in mind as a rationale, we came up with a new concept called OL4D, and actually it is culture for development or communication for development. Their oral literature is there as an artistic expression and as cultural, as a repository of culture and communication. So the aim is to explore how oral literature can play a role in development. And the result is a new approach called OL4D. And we choose folktales, and folktales do have a history. The assumption, the existing assumption when it comes to folktales is that often oral literatures are considered as tradition and immaterial. It's tradition. And even it goes in our daily discourses. Fictional. And we usually say, turrets are not innocent. There was this story, artificial story created in Balkan countries. Actually, that artificial story created resulted into the disintegration of the Balkan states. It was not the tank that did so. First, it was the story that was developed. So we believe that stories are not innocent. And often folktales are children's tales. Yes, of course, they are children's tales. But this risks a static perspective of oral literature. It's not only that actually is, if we say this and just totally leave out, the alternative space is there, what I have already mentioned. The tomes and the jerrys are there, and our children need that, the thing that fills that gap. So we have to use what we have. And yes, of course, it is some children's tale, but this risk of dismissing folktales as insignificant. So the key achievements we had is we were having annual meetings alternatively in Kenya and Ethiopia, 2 times in Kenya and once in Ethiopia, and this May we will be having the same meeting in Ethiopia, Bishoftu. And the other one is stakeholders meeting. I have to rush. Stakeholders meetings are held as far as Ethiopian side of the project is concerned. We do have 3 sites, Naqamt, Jimma, and Addis Ababa. Here we identify elders, artists, students, and teachers who can participate on generating stories and sharing that. And based on those stories, experiences will be shared so that there will be an intergenerational link between the elderly persons and the youth. That is the core. So actually during stakeholders meeting, discussions are made on how to actually bring all these stakeholders into board. And following that, performances are made in these 3 sites. First, what we did was we used theater arts for the students. What we do first is we give them scripts of stories that are collected from our PhD candidates, which are very relevant to the 5 domains we have identified. One of it can be related to, for example, poverty, a drought happening once upon a time, and how the people come out of that, having their own indigenous practice. And what is its relevance to the contemporary use? And discussions are made. So performance, first the stories are chosen and then changed to scripts, and the theater and art students perform that, and we just take video of that and go to these 3 sites and display it. And then we also at the same time involve artists, especially elderly people who we think are rich in telling stories, and ask them to tell stories related to the 5 domains, and they tell, and that we take as a performance. And that it follows that workshops are conducted based on that performance. On the workshop, we will discuss how it is related to disease, how the stories are related to ecological imbalance, and how the stories are related to gender discrimination, and discussions are made, and sometimes very hot discussions when it comes to gender, for example. Some stories are patriarchally infused, so reactions come from the community that it is patriarchally oriented. So, and it will be open for discussion so that we look for alternative ways of telling stories that could balance gender. And change is there in this regard. What is very interesting, if you can see from this picture, what we were longing for is intergenerational link between elderly people and the youth. This was our aspiration when we were designing the proposal. During implementation, we came up with this, an elder telling a story and an adolescent listening to it. And it was so inspiring to see an elderly woman that participating in telling the story, and a young girl actually watching, listening to that and reacting. That was what we were doing. And we do have also, other than workshops and performances, we want to disseminate the practice through publications. Actual articles are on the way. About 3 articles are published on high standard international articles, and there is a book publication that is on the way. We were actually trying to finish the publication of the book. Actually, it is going to be published in Germany, but it didn't reach this time. But I will do that.
There are also project
Dr. Naga is in the project. That is why he is just cherishing 2 minutes. Good, I will do it. So the project is followed by book publication, where a book is going to be published. And we do have also another database development. The documents, any study related to oral narratives, especially folktale songs, proverbs, are actually Googled, and data will be developed for that. Their publication is in terms of book and articles and theses. So a total of about 154 documents are on the way to develop data. And our future plan, I will jump this, and the issue of sustainability. First we were using theatrical art students for performance, but this time the students themselves have established clubs in the schools identified in the 3 sites, and they themselves are actually basing on stories, are performing. The case in point is our site in Addis Ababa, or Finfinne, General Taddesa Birru Secondary School. When we went there, actually the club was not active, but after our consistent intervention, clubs were formed, and those students began actually establishing clubs and performing, and these students actually competed at the town level, and they actually won a grant 2 times. This is our achievement, and we are very happy that the students themselves are owning the project, and that is what we are actually happy about. The challenge, there are some challenges: security, political issues, inflation. Actually, the project plan was 4-5 years back, and if inflation in Ethiopia is not there, very challenging. When organizing workshops and performances, we are actually, it is not easy for us actually to do them because of inflation. administrative, certain financial reportings as per the demand of Belarus is another challenge. One challenge is reported by my colleague earlier, leadership change. And when the leader is changed, and you have to reorient another person, and that is another challenge. And we have already, this is the last, and we have already developed a website, the project. One of the project's work is designing a website, and it is OL4D website. You just right now can go and to Google and just write OL4D, and it will take you to our website. And everything that we are doing, we just upload there. And the performances, the workshops, the annual meetings, the data, the interview data by our PhD students, they are posted there. And that is one of the fascinating work we are talking as an achievement. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much again. As you can see in the schedule, if you have it, we are left with one more presentation, but in the interest of time, that was to be presented by Professor Mulumabet. I think you agreed with the rescheduling. So it is postponed rather to another time. So next we will have a brief discussion, questions and answers. So I call all the presenters, including Professor Isaias, to the stage, and we will try to manage in a very short period of time. So would you come please to the stage? And until then, I will tell you the ground rules. I'm thinking to give chance to 5 participants, and each will use 1 minute to present your ideas directly addressing to a targeted presenter. Here we have 4 presenters on the featured projects, and the plenary presenter, Professor Isaias. So I think, sorry. So shall I give the chance to rest from this side, 1 from this side, 3 from this row, because you are many, and 1 from the other one. 1 chance from here? Anyone? Anyone? Okay, number 1. From here? From here? Anyone? Any question, reflections? Number 2, Dr. Taklu. Number 3 on the other side. 2 more from the other one. Yes. 4 is 4? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 more from the middle, in case, from the middle row. Yeah, let's go.